July of 2019 was the last time Mexico had beaten the U.S. men's national team in an international cup final. 6 years of the USA beating Mexico, Nations League final, and the Gold Cup final, and Mexico just hadn't been able to beat them in a final. So that's why yesterday's game meant so much for Mexico. It probably didn't mean the same for the U.S. because if you're a supporter of the U.S. men's national team, you say, well, we didn't even have our squad. This was our B team out there, a bunch of young guys, a bunch of dudes from the MLS, and we still made it to the final, and we were right there. We only lost 2-1, and you're arguing about whether it was an offside or not, whether it should have been called a handball or not, whatever. That's neither here nor there. Mexico needed that win. They needed that win for themselves. They needed that win for the morale of the team. They needed the win for the confidence heading in to the World Cup. Now, this doesn't mean Mexico is going to be a dark horse. This doesn't mean Mexico is going to go out and have even a better tournament than the USA. That's still yet to be determined, obviously. But this just does a lot for Mexico in this region, Mexico versus the USA. And so it's why it meant so much for Mexico. It's why they celebrated as much as they did. Because you can argue you're celebrating this much after beating a USA team that wasn't complete. Yeah, you're doing it because you hadn't beaten them in 6 years. And so when that is what's hanging over you, when the USA scores a really good goal to start the game, in the first 4 minutes, you're like, oh my, here we go. Is this going to happen again? And to be able to bounce back, to be able to showcase yourself and push the USA into their own territory, and to be able to make the decisions and the tactical decisions, to be able to move within the crowded space that the US had, was a gigantic win, not just obviously in terms of the scoreboard, but in terms of on the field and who was superior. Mexico was a much better team in last night's game, and they rightfully won, but it meant so much, and it did so much, and it's going to do so much for Mexico in their confidence as they go into the World Cup in next summer. And it's why it meant so much. It's why this game was circled, and every Mexican fan was circling this game because it was a must-win game. It's nice to win the Nations League versus Panama. It's nice to win the Gold Cup versus Panama. And it's great. It's great you did it, took care of business. But it means so much more when you do it against a USA team that had been beating you in the last 3 finals. So Mexico did it. They win the Gold Cup back-to-back. And I think it's safe to say they are at the top of CONCACAF again.